I promise you, if you bring that person you saw on the screen next to your spouse, you will find beauty and the beasts of the same gender. Did you hear what I just said? You'll have to look and say, there's no filter here. That's why, subhanallah, you'll still walk towards your spouse. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. My brothers and sisters, as I was walking up here, a brother walked with me and said, you know about TikTok? Can you remind the people that if they're wearing Muslim clothing and not doing Muslim stuff, something like that. I just heard it and I looked at him. I said, My beloved brother, let me tell you that we're all one family. We all love each other. We all care for each other. We're facing the real life. We have challenges that are real. And yes, indeed, we will talk about social media. And we will not doom the people, but we will rather tap them in a good way to encourage them to do the right thing. As much as I know and I understand what the brother was trying to say, we need to realize that we have big issues in the ummah, massive issues. And at the same time, we don't have enough people encouraging us in a positive way. And what I mean is, every one of us has goodness, right? We all have some form of goodness. You can't have a person who's only bad. There must be some goodness. Some have less, some have more. My duty is to show you how good you are in a way that automatically you want to increase that good. And that would automatically decrease the bad. A few days ago, someone asked me about a video that I released saying that I can forget what I want to forget. If something negative has happened to me, I can forget it. And then they asked me how I want that to happen as well. So how do you do it? And I said, you know what? When you concentrate on positives and you work hard and you occupy yourself doing the right things, automatically the rest of the negatives become irrelevant. But when you're doing nothing and you're concentrating on the negative, you allow it to fester and to grow, then that will grow. And you will become depressed about it because you know what? That's the negative thing. Obviously, it depends on what level it is. If it's really bad, something that happened to you, perhaps a crime committed against you, you have every right to seek justice indeed, and it may haunt you for a while. May Allah make it easy for all of us. But I'm talking of general stuff. So, one thing that I've learned, and I wanted to mention today, we've been speaking the last 3 days about social media, and I've covered different topics in 2 days. This is the third day, and I want to tell you there is something very interesting that happens that many of us don't realize. Firstly, a lot of these apps that we use, and when we say social media, it's not only about the apps, and it's not only about Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and what have you. It goes beyond that to the social the connecting websites, be it for marriage or for some other form of connecting, networking, etc. I would call that also a part of social media. And the way it's designed is always to achieve something. The people who have founded these apps or these websites, there's a reason. You need to know what is the reason. Sometimes it's easy to just use something and say, wow, we're enjoying it. Fair and good. But you need to know, why is this thing here? What was the aim of these people? What do they aim at? What do they want to achieve? It's good to know that. And if you do, even if it's later on, but the sooner the better. If you do, you realize where you need to save yourself and protect yourself. I remember someone, an older person, quite religious, downloaded an app that's used for something that's not Islamic, number one. Number two is meeting up in order to engage in something haram. And he said, I didn't realize until I put my photo, I put my ID, I put all my stuff. And then I started noticing people connecting with me and they're asking for these things here. And they said, well, you're on the wrong platform if that's the case. And then I got off. That's why I say you got to know, why are you there? What is it for? What is this for? You can't just join when you don't even know what it's all about. So at times what happens is we don't realize that one of the, you know, one of the things they want is to keep you captured. So one of the aims, captured. Obviously, it's business. If I can capture you and I can hold you there for as long as I can, we make more money. In order to capture you, they make it very interesting. That's one thing. They keep it short and sweet. So interesting. They'll beautify it in a way that you're like in awe. Hence all the filters, by the way. You're in awe because you're seeing something amazing for a few seconds and wow, your mind is there and you wowing it, subhanallah. And then what you do, you got to flick up, or maybe you watch it again and again. As you flick up, you see something wower than the previous wow, right? And then you flick up again and you're like, ooh, what's going on here? You don't realize while you're enjoying it, they've kept you there. They have made sure that you keep flicking, you keep scrolling. And at the same time, there's something happening to you that's making you feel a sense of negativity that can be dealt with through filters or through some form of changing. What that means is, say, for example, I'm scrolling and I see these boys and girls, whoever they may be, and wow, each one is looking perfect, blemishless, flawless. And who am I? I'm a normal human being. I look at myself in the mirror. I can see this mark, that mark. I can see this way, that this way. And I think to myself, that's not good enough. Well, it's quite easy. In their case, you can just flick a filter and you look equally good. What does that tell you? I look at myself in a normal camera and I say, I don't like this. I flick it. Oh, wow, I look so lovely. What did you do? There's a filter there. If you could do that, don't you realize that the others have done that? Do you get the point? Don't you realize the others have done that? And what does that mean? That means what you see on social media is not actually what you would see had you seen in real life. You can't deny that. You cannot deny that. 99% of the people who use filters use them in order to enhance themselves beyond what real life would show the naked eye. That means it's built on something that's just feel good. As a result, it depresses all of us who are following or who would like to follow religiously. You're following everything and it depresses you because you're nowhere near that. So much so that there are apps that would change your figure for you, change your belly for you. You wouldn't have a belly. You would have a 6-pack, 7-pack, whatever other pack it may be. And subhanallah, people feel so sad in real life. And sometimes they begin to believe that this is them. And so they don't want to meet others unless they can disguise themselves. But online, it's okay. If you don't have that particular filter, you've got a problem. One of the brothers reminded me in this hall, the last time when I spoke a few years back, he says, you spoke about the issue of makeup. And I remember, I don't say it's prohibited, no. And I don't say that it's haram, no. But I do say you need to know the limits. You need to know how much and where to stop and what to do and what not to do and what's the wrong of it and what's the right of it and so on. It's none of my business, people might say. But you know what? As a father figure, I think it's good to guide. And I remember saying that when you know that you've put on a little bit much is when your own phone doesn't recognize your face anymore, then you know there's a problem. I said that here. When your own phone doesn't recognize your face anymore, you know there's a problem. So what happens is sometimes we begin to believe that, okay, this is me. And that identity, we beam it everywhere. But we, in the silence of the night, when we're all on our own, are embarrassed about what we look like. And we're not happy with our own eyes, with our own noses. Every one of us has something wrong with his or her nose. You realize that? Do you know why? Everyone has something wrong with their noses. And perhaps the exact, size or shape of your face. This side's a little bit more than that side slightly. The top, a bit more hair this side than the other side. Perhaps the chin is a little bit this way, that way. Everyone, if you want to scrutinize to the fraction of a millimeter, you would actually be able to find flaws. But there are those who don't notice it, and so they're happy. And there are those who notice every small thing, so they're sad. Allah says perfection is for the hereafter, for paradise. When you get there, you have a nose as you want it. You have eyes as you want them. The size of your eyes, the color of your eyes. Shaitan's plot is to make us unhappy with what Allah's given us. And therefore, he traps us by comparing ourselves with everything else that we see. And we're trapped. So we're not happy. I'm not happy, you're not happy. With what? With whatever I've got. I was listening to a talk the other day of another sheikh, and he said something very interesting. He said, those with children are complaining about the children. Those without children are crying for children. Those who are tall want to be short, and those who are short want to be tall, right? People are complaining. Those who have one thing want the other, and those who have the other thing want this. Almost everything. Those who have dark hair want light hair. Those who have light hair want dark hair. Those who have this want that, and so on. Those who can afford the holiday are lazy sometimes. Wow, I think I just touched the wrong button, because on holiday, everyone wants to go, right? Everyone wants to go on holiday. But generally, it's things that we are given by Allah, that a lot of the times we're ungrateful. As believers, we're taught, be grateful. You connect with Allah best when you are totally happy with what He has blessed you with. I'm happy with the way I look. That's what you should say. So when the identity of the people is not really their identity, guess what begins to happen? Something known as catfishing. You talk to someone and that's not them. And they show you pictures of someone else. And sometimes it might be them, but long back when they were looking nowhere near what they look like now. And they continue to communicate. And so what happens on social media, you become a victim. And I want to tell the young boys and girls here, especially the young girls, and even some of the older people, don't get conned. Don't get fooled. Even on Muslim marriage websites, even on, the singles, as they call them, websites, it might be run by beautiful people, but who can moderate everything? It's almost impossible. The internet is wide. And so you communicate with someone for marriage purposes, the biggest fraud perhaps, and he's doing this to so many others. And you're busy thinking, I just found the love of my life. You've just found the beginning of hell. That's what happened. Subhanallah. Be careful. Be very intelligent. Watch the words. Mark what they say. See the excuses and understand what's going on. Watch what they're asking of you. What do they want you to do? Subhanallah. I actually know of a guy who told me he spoke to me on video call. So I said, no, it wasn't me. I sent back meaning initially it was an email, sent back an email. No, it wasn't me. And he says, no, I donated money. Did you receive it? I said, no, it wasn't me. Turns out it was a fraud. I tried to find out how. He said, I did all my research. I did everything. I said, how? He said, I asked the guy, can I speak to you via video call? So I said, do me a favor, talk to him again on video call and record it for me. Right? He says, fine. He went, he told the guy, look, I need to speak to you one more time. I'll donate X amount. And so this man spoke to this Mufti Menk on video call, and he screen grabbed it, and then he sends it to me. Guess what it was? You won't believe it. It was one of my lectures. This man had taken his phone and he's actually showing, he says, look, it's not so clear. It's delayed sound. But anyway, this is how could you believe that? I mean, someone is showing you an image of a man or a video of someone else, and they're just pretending to you it's not clear, it's cutting, it's not so, the sound is delayed, and you're believing them and you're donating cash. Come on, guys. May Allah make it easy. That type of money perhaps may not have been earned in the proper way, or it was just a test from Allah. You're being foolish. You don't do that. People come in your DMs and say, I am Mufti Menk. You're a good person. Well done. God bless you. A prayer or two. And I'm running an orphanage at such and such a place. Most of them are in Nigeria, by the way, as much as I love Nigeria. And I need you to unlock the blessings of God by donating so much to this beautiful place. And suddenly you donate and the blessings are not just unlocked, but the doors of hell are flung open. May Allah forgive us. Nobody would actually come into your DMs and really do that if they were legit. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us ease. So I also know of cases where people have been duped by guys who are sitting on marriage sites and they're not genuine. They want to tamper with the opposite sex. And so they promise everyone marriage, 10 people at one time, 12 people at one time, and they're enjoying the game. And you know what? They might promise you the world. What is happening? Be intelligent. Ask yourself, is this genuine? I'm not saying all the people are fake, but I'm saying there are a lot that perhaps would want to show you what they're not. And that's why when there is a potential spouse, try and find out their community, maybe which masjid they go to, perhaps who they live by. Ask people around, how are these guys? How's this person? How's the family? What's going on? You might hear a thing or two that you'd be shocked by, or you might hear positives. People might say, oh, this person, amazing, mashallah. I know of a case a few years ago where one guy lied to a potential spouse about his own name, saying the name of one of the imams of the masjid, and said, you can do your research, you can ask the community, you can ask this, you can do whatever. And these people contacted members of the community saying, do you know this person? Yes, he's an imam in the masjid. What a lovely guy. Imagine the lengths, the extent of the plotting of these people. You give the name of someone else, and later on you say, you know what, we've decided to change names. You're going to get caught one day. You're not going to go far, but you're going to be damaging the life of someone and pay a price, a heavy price, starting in this world and then in the hereafter. You don't cheat people. You don't deceive. From amongst us, there may be some who just do it for fun. You don't mess people's lives up. I know of some who have wasted 2, 3, 4 years of their lives on something they really thought was coming in their direction and it wasn't. And the person on the other side always knew that this is not happening, it's not coming. But they were conned because they didn't know how to use social media. They didn't know that a lot of it is fake. Don't take it with a pinch of salt, take it with a ton of salt. You notice there's a shortage of salt globally? That's the reason. We've got to take things with a ton of salt because a lot of it is just a fraud, it's just fake. What you see is not what is there. People say, I saw with my own eyes. If you saw it on a screen, you didn't see with your own eyes. Imagine catfishing. I was sitting with a few of our footballers here at the back just now. And mashallah, I said, what is it called? And one of them reminded me it's called catfishing. That's where I came up here and said catfishing, right? It's true. It's happening a lot. People pretending to be someone and they're not. They lie to you, they deceive you. Please be careful, my brothers and sisters, when we're using social media. When you're connecting with people, make sure they're genuine. When you're buying products, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you're covered. Make sure that this is a proper place. How many of us have tried to buy things bogus? We've paid for it and it never ever came. It's happened to me. I see the heads nodding. Well, we've been robbed, haven't we? Even if it was small things. And it looks so good. Another thing, when a product is being sold on social media, 9 times out of 10, they're going to market it in a way that is beyond what it actually is, because they want your attention. You have a potato peeler, for example. I'm just giving you a simple example, but there are so many you might know. And you know what? It peels potatoes just like this. You hold it and the whole potatoes peel. Just trust your instinct. It's not possible. And it didn't happen. It doesn't happen. You will pay £5 and 5,000 people pay £5 and that's their money made. They can close shop. That's it. They might send you something that won't even work on a carrot, let alone a potato. It's a fraud. So be careful. Don't let everything that your eyes see be something that you want. So much so that it goes all the way to the humankind. And it happens perhaps more with the men, the boys, where you see someone, hey, this girl is nice. You see another one, she's even better. Oh, this one here. You want to befriend every single one of them. Why? Even if you are allowed to marry, you're not going to be able to. You can't have every rose in the garden. You took your rose and now it's over. You can walk away and enjoy every petal. But that's your rose. You can't have all the roses in the garden. Did you hear that, guys? I think the guys are deaf. They didn't hear that, huh? You can't have every rose in the garden. You take a rose and enjoy it, appreciate it, work on it, let it blossom, put the water, put whatever else is needed there, mashallah. And you know what? Put the ice as well, mashallah, at times. And what happens? The rose becomes stronger. It gives you a good fragrance depending on how well you look after it. But if you want all the roses in the garden, you're not going to survive, and none of those roses will survive either. So when you're scrolling, remember, it's not yours. Keep scrolling. As soon as it's not yours, just flick it up. That's what Islam tells you. You know, when we have the concept of lowering your gaze in Islam, we have the concept of lowering your gaze in Islam. People say, well, what about on the screen? Can't I just look? No, the same rule applies. You see something, flick it up. As soon as you saw what it was like, that initial gaze is forgiven. It's overlooked. You can flick it up and continue. And subhanallah, it's a disease, because it's a disease where people want everything they see. And so they're not happy. They're not content. You look at your spouse, you're not happy. I promise you, if you bring that person you saw on the screen next to your spouse, you will find beauty and the beast of the same gender. Did you hear what I just said? You'll have to look and say, there's no filter here. That's why, subhanallah, you'll still walk towards your spouse, because shaitan beautifies that which is haram. Always, always. You know, you have wealthy guys, wealthy people, generally wealthy. They will still try to rob the system to earn £5 more. That was sweet. I was shocked. You know what I did? We did this, and we managed to get £5. Brother, you've got £5,000 every day. And here you are, the £5 made you feel good. Trust me, that's shaitan. That is the devil. Same concept. You got a beautiful home, a lovely wife, beautiful children, a great husband in the case of women, and a lovely situation back at home. There will always be plus and minus. Yours is 8 out of 10. The rest of them are 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, for example. And you're aiming at someone who's less than 2, 3 out of 10. Because when you marry, you're marrying a package. It's not just about looks. Looks is a small percentage of it. It's a package. It's a person, it's the deen, it's the akhlaq, it's the parent of your children, inshallah, to be. It's someone who can sacrifice with you. You build together, you live together, you sacrifice together, you sleep together, whatever else happens together. That package is to be rated as a package, not individual things. And what Allah's done is He has given everyone a different goodness. Sometimes they overlap, but at times they don't. Someone is extremely good looking, at times they have an attitude that stinks. And sometimes people are really good looking and they have a good attitude, but they're not keen on the deen at all, not at all. They wouldn't even pray to save their own lives. It doesn't make them bad because they could improve themselves, but I'm saying for the moment to compare them with your own family, there's no need to. There's no need to. Allah's blessed you. You made your choice. You picked your rose. It's over. So some of the youth must be thinking, well, I haven't yet picked my rose. Well, then you know what some of them are doing? They go to the garden, see all the roses, rip this one, smell it, stuff it up their nose a little bit, put it back, rip the other one, put it back, rip the other one. You ripped almost all the roses in the garden, and then you say, I'll go for that one day. By that time, that rose says, not interested in that nose. It was smelly. I hope you got what I said. It's quite deep, actually. That's what's going on in the world today. So you ask this guy, are you getting married? But you're wealthy, you can afford it, you're okay, you've got a good job, for example, you're ready. What's going on? No, still a bit young. Still a bit young. I'm not going to tell you at what age you should marry, but the Prophet ﷺ says, "Man istata'a minkum al-ba'ata falyatazawwaj." Whoever from amongst you is able and capable should get married. Don't delay. You start up your life. You start up your family life. And you know what? You do it respectfully. Do you know how hurtful it is? Do you know how hurtful it is to some of the innocent girls who, for the first time in their lives, I'm going to say something that's going to probably, resonate with a lot of the girls who've been through it. For the first time in their lives, sometimes they are introduced to the system that is in place in several communities of introduction with the idea of marriage. And it's not a wrong thing. But what that means is we as Muslims, we're taught that, we don't go out on dates and so on and have an affair for how long and then decide, okay, I'm going to marry you or not marry you. You meet the person, but it's an arranged meeting in the sense that arranged introduction. The initial introduction was arranged. The rest of it is up to you guys. No one's forcing anyone to do anything. So someone might say, look, I've got a daughter. I'd like you to meet her. Or if you have your son, maybe you can introduce him to my daughter. If you don't mind, perhaps they can meet and they might think of getting married. It's not a bad thing. And then the meeting happens. And when the meeting happens, a lot of the times, the first meeting, you already can gauge, that, okay, it looks like it's going in the right direction. Let's see. A few people, first meeting, and they're ready to get married. They said, you know what? Wow, what a lovely guy. What a lovely person. I think we can say, Bismillah. Some of them you have to say, A'udhu Billah. You meet, and the way the discussion went, and what they were saying, and what happened, and the families, and the way they came in and introduced themselves. And you know what? That is so bad. So sometimes you feel you want to go for it, and sometimes you feel you don't want to go for it. But what's in the middle, when it's okay, let's meet again. You meet again. It's okay, let's meet a third time. You meet a third time. Okay, let's meet a fourth time. And then you know what? Suddenly you think everything is going well, and you hear the guy say, sorry, I did my istikhara and it's negative. Shukran. That is what is one of the most hurtful things that the young girls go through. Do you agree with me? I heard a few yes, but I think they're quiet because the others are seated here in the front. It is very hurtful that, you know what? Why didn't you just end it the first time? But I tell you what, it's best to end it at that point rather than to let it go further, get married to someone, and then discover things that were worse? Would you rather break an engagement than to go into a marriage and end up in a divorce that could have been avoided because you had a gut feeling this is the wrong thing? Follow that gut feeling. And this is why I say, today, it's extremely important for you to meet your potential spouse and speak to them and make sure you know them and make sure you interact and ask the questions and make sure you're satisfied with what they look like, what they sound like, what they behave like, what they are, and the families as well. And ask the questions about your living and your life. If they're good people, no problem. I know of families who are really good. And so they will tell the potential daughter-in-law, for example, that you can live with us, but we guarantee you that if you're not happy, within a span of 3 months, we will get you your own place. That's fair enough. Do they fulfill the promise? Some of them do, a lot of them don't. Some of them do, a lot of them don't. A lot of them just want you there. And then what I noticed is sometimes the families promise the world and they come across as though our son or our daughter or our whoever it may be is like this and like that. They make them sound like they were almost prophets of Allah. And all you've got to do, back to social media, is you just try and search the name and check a few things and look for the accounts. That's why a lot of people are very secretive. When you ask them, what's your handle? What's your Instagram? They'll give you one where there's only just one thing. But low key, they've got another one with 1,001 things, right? Because this one I was specially created in case I'm getting married, in case someone wants a reference. Here's the account. Take it, and you know what? That's it. You can have a peep at it. And subhanallah, they have a closet. If you were to search properly, you would find that this person is far off what their parents are claiming they are. Because at times, parents don't know their kids anymore. And sometimes they know them, but they're covering up because they're desperately in search for a spouse for that child. You'd rather be open, straight, and say, listen, you know what? I'm not interested. I had a case where there was a sister who told a brother, listen, I'm meeting you, but I have a problem. The problem is I don't want to marry you. I want to marry someone else. My parents have pushed me to do this. And if I were to say no, and I tried it, they are going to penalize me. I'm going to pay a price for it. I'd like you to do me a favor. As we exit here or later on, can you please contact them and you say the no from your side? This young man contacted me to say, I met a girl, really good girl, very good looking, amazing, awesome. I'd love a spouse like this, but this is what she told me. What do I do? I said, you do exactly that. You do exactly that. She was honest enough to let you know. Imagine if you had to marry her and she tells you later on, I never ever wanted to marry you. I was forced to. That's unacceptable Islamically. And it's wrong. He says, no, but I think they should know that this is what she told me. I said, they don't need to know. She knows her circumstances. You just come out and say, listen, I'm sorry. It's okay. And so he did that. I don't know what happened thereafter to her, but I do know this young man came to me to ask me, and I told him, you do exactly that. Let it be. She doesn't want you. It's over. She told you, please do me a favor. I've got a situation. Perhaps if you help her in her situation, Allah will help you in yours. But the idea here is the transparency. I'm so happy that she spoke up. So many people don't speak up and they lead you up the wrong tree. My brothers and sisters, don't be deceived. The world has become so different from what it was just a few years ago, mainly because of technology and this advancement. People have either become good or bad. Moments ago, I was speaking to the brothers, same brothers, and we were talking about how Allah brings you close to Him through problems and difficulties. And the same problems and difficulties, Shaitan tries to draw you closer to Him. And that's why whenever you're in problem or difficulty or hardship, you will find people falling into one of two categories. Either they begin to pray. You have a problem, right? You lost a job. Your health is gone. You have suffered a loss. You can either begin to pray, which is something a believer would be doing, or others go to the pub, they go to the club, they lose themselves, they start drugs, they start everything else because of the same problem. So your problem will either lead you towards prayer or towards shaitan. It was an opportunity given by Allah. So people ask, how do I know if this is a punishment or a blessing? When something negative happens according to us, how do I know it's a punishment or it's a test? Simple. If it draws you closer to Allah, like I said, it was a blessing. And if it took you the other way, it was a punishment. And the reason I say this and I'm giving you this example is because whenever we are down, whenever there is a situation, shaitan will come and play, and Allah Almighty's instruction is looming. And you will be encouraged through your belief and conviction in Allah to do the right thing. But at the same time, shaitan's going to tell you, no, 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 go this way, go this way. You know, if you are going to do things the other way, which is the right way according to us, then you're not going to achieve, and this will happen and that will happen. Whereas shaitan is lying to you. Anyone who's prayed has never ever come back and regretted the prayer. The minimum out of that problem, even if it wasn't solved, was, I found Allah. I found Allah. I remember a brother clearly who had a problem with his eyes. And he was a naughty guy initially. He used to do a lot of naughty things. When he had a problem with his eyes, he turned to Allah. He had a little procedure. His eyes came right. He turned back to his bad ways. You won't believe it. The same thing happened to his eyes again. So he came back again. And he said, I will never let this happen again. I'm not going to turn away from Allah, because Allah just showed me that when your eyes had a problem, you turned to me. Everything worked. And now that everything came right, you turned away. And so we took it back again so that you can come back. But just as well, this brother realized that this is not a yo-yo that we should be playing with. It's dedication. Now, my brothers and sisters, we all have some form of social media on ourselves, on our phones, be it a laptop, a tablet, whatever else it is. I ask you a question, and I want you to just say it loud. Which is your favorite app? Answer it. Which is your favorite social media app? Twitter, WhatsApp, what else? TikTok. I see, mashallah. Brother, you look like I've seen you there, man. Mashallah. Yeah, which is your favorite one, guys? Say something. I want to hear sounds. Instagram. Yes? These guys don't use social media. Mashallah. Which one? TikTok. Yeah. I think the most common answer is TikTok, and that's because it's the largest social media platform on earth. It's the biggest by hands down. And I want to tell you, do you know why they call it TikTok? Anyone knows why they call it TikTok? And this is not a lie. You know why they call it TikTok? It depicts the wasting of time. Tick tock, tick tock. And the clock keeps on ticking and talking. Before you know it, your day is over. Your salah is gone. Not just your dhuhr, but your asr and maghrib and isha. All of them are gone. And where are you? Tick tock, tick tock. You can hear the clock actually. If you've got a big clock at home, you can hear it saying tick tock. Can you not? Subhanallah, that's the way it's made. It's designed for you to actually keep going and keep going and keep going. Lose track of time. What have you achieved? Absolutely nothing. You smile at your phone. You cry at your phone. You laugh at your phone. You look at your screen, at your camera. You can't look at your spouse and smile, but you look at the camera. Yee! And you're smiling and you're posing and you're focusing and you're looking at, wow, look at your mother for a minute in the same way. And subhanAllah, her heart will melt. She'll give you the dua you've never received in your life if you looked at her half of how you looked at that phone. Come on, guys. Your father, whoever else it may be, your siblings, you've got to put that aside and lead your real life. This thing is designed to keep you going. The last 2 days, I've given an example that people have loved. Can I give it to you today? You need to hear it. So, you have salah that's forgotten. Without a joke, it's forgotten. When you're too engrossed in this app, your salah goes. You say, Musma, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. That astaghfirullah was fake. The reason is you knew your salah was going. You're on the phone and you just keep on, okay, you know how salah gets missed. Shaitan doesn't tell you don't pray. Initially, he doesn't do that. Initially, he says, I'll do it just now. That's the plan. I'll get it done just now. What's the time? They say the time is 4 o'clock. Oh, Maghrib just entered. We are ready just now. It's okay, that's Shaitan's plot. He only wants you to say just now. That just now is repeated 4 or 5 times. And then what happens? You say, the time of Maghrib is gone. It's now time for Isha. That's Shaitan. So how do you defy him? You stop it. You pause it. You put it aside. The time has entered. I'm going to do it now. Remove the word just. Okay? Not just now. Now. And you fulfill your salah, then you won't regret. But if it's a just now, you end up regretting. So listen to this. You have your app and you're engrossed in it. The time of salah comes, hayya ala al-falah, come to success, you haven't even heard it. The next salah comes, you haven't even heard it. The next salah comes, you haven't even heard it. And then, obviously, because you're drinking water, because of whatever else you feel like, you need to pee. You need to pee. Go to the loo. What do? Do you forget about it? No, it's pressing. It begins to press. Tell me what you do. Please, tell me what you do. You have your phones and you're busy scrolling and you're busy looking, checking how many likes, how many comments, what did they say, what didn't they say. It can become a disease. It's not always bad, but if it's unlimited, it's bad. If you have limits, you set yourself times, you know what you want and how much you want it, it's not a bad thing. It depends how you're using it. But I'm talking of unlimited. A lot of us need help. Be focused. Be disciplined. So now that you want to use the loo, for example, what do? A lot of us will just keep going with the phone. You're walking. Where am I walking? Towards the WC, towards the loo, right? Walking. And then you go, without even looking, you open the pan, without looking, pants down, without looking, what happened? You're sitting on the pan. Next thing, you're still busy scrolling and you're peeing. You're peeing, right? And you finish pee, and you're still scrolling. Because we are Muslims, we have to wash. Sometimes we delay the washing for a while because we wouldn't realize we're on the loo because it's something too interesting. You're just sitting, but you finished your business a long time back and you're still scrolling. You're still scrolling. Don't you think we should talk about that? More and more people are admitting that, yes, you're right. I don't want to ask you, but if I were to ask you to show us hands if you've ever taken your phone into the loo, I think a lot of hands would be up, right? The silence is actually, subhanallah. Should we ask you the question? No. Okay, that makes sense. That's the answer. Sorry? So, subhanallah, I tell you something very interesting. Some of us may not take the phone to the loo, but we'll still answer the call of nature. We'll answer the call of nature, but we haven't taken the phone to the loo. But did we answer the call of Allah? So when you were on your phone, the call to success was ignored, but the call to nature, the call of nature was actually responded to. And the call to success was ignored. To pray, we couldn't. But to go to the loo, we could, we did. Take a look at the irony. Surely you should drop your whatever you're doing and pray for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should become more conscious of what we're doing. We should become more conscious of what we're doing and do the right thing. May Allah Almighty make it easy for all of us. So I think this evening, actually I didn't even realize I've spoken for 45 minutes. But it's okay, it's fine. We'll give you a bit of a bonus, inshallah. Do you know that Allah Almighty is the most merciful, most kind, most forgiving, most amazing Lord? If you have done more good than bad in your lives, He will ignore the bad and still grant you paradise. If you have done more good than bad, Allah will ignore the bad and still give you paradise. Did you hear what I said? That's Allah. He's merciful. He'll ignore the bad and give you paradise based on the good that you've done. You did more good. It's His mercy. That's what it is. Where do I get this from? The scales of the Day of Judgment. Your good deeds are put on one side, your bad on the other. The Quran says in more than one place, when your good deeds are heavier than your bad, for you is success and paradise. That's the mercy of Allah. So the point I want to raise, every one of us, do as many good deeds as you can, no matter what it is. If it is a smile on the face, if it is sadaqah, the charities, the goodness at home, the helping hand, and so on, over and above your minimum duty unto Allah, the farad, that which is compulsory, must come first. Your 5 daily prayers, try never to miss them. Improve on it, because that is your key to improving the rest of your life. If you've managed the 5 daily prayers, that's the key. If you haven't managed the 5 daily prayers, you still need to work a lot on it. Some people say, look, I only pray thrice because I find it very difficult the other 2. I will tell you, look, you need to pray 5, but try and improve. Don't go back on what you have. Get to 4 and inshallah get to 5. Try it. If you missed 1 or 2 a day, make the qadha and keep going until Allah gives you the power and the ability to realize your duty unto Him, so that a day comes when you meet Allah and you can say, oh Allah, it was so tough, it was so hard, but I got there. I managed to do a little bit and I improved so much. And Allah says, I was watching, I know, I saw, and for you is Jannah. Wow. I would love that. May Allah make our last days the best days. Say Ameen. May Allah make us such that every day is better than the previous day. Don't ever let your achievements be lost. Rather build on them and get more and more, and Allah Almighty will grant you more. If I'm dedicated for the sake of Allah and I keep trying, Alhamdulillah, Allah will give me more. Today, every one of us, we have a phone, we grab it with us, we hold it with us. 99% of us, almost 100. In some countries, if you don't have a phone, you can't move around anymore because you need to show them an app that you have a pass to walk around because of the virus. So we handle our phones throughout the day, but we've never been regular with recital of one portion of the Quran a day. Small portion. One verse, 1 minute. In fact, you can time 60 seconds. Spend 60 seconds of your time with the Quran and see what happens. 60 seconds of your time a day with the Quran. It can be an application on your phone, no problem. 60 seconds. Honestly, start off with the 60 seconds. I know people who've told me we have started and subhanAllah, we've moved on. Initially it was just 5 minutes. Now we've moved on to much more than that and no regrets. The Quran is such that when you give it a little, it's magnetic. It'll draw you towards it. A little more, you come a bit more. A little more, you come a bit more. And that's Allah's blessing. And the reason I'm giving this advice is, my brothers and sisters, ultimately we need to prepare for the day we are meeting with Allah. Earlier I spoke sitting here, and when I was asked about the day you're going to meet with Allah, how would you feel? And I said, I'm excited about it. You heard me say that, right? We have to prepare in a small way or a big way, but in one way or another, prepare for the day you're going to meet with Allah. When you go to Allah, what are you going to take Him? You've got to take Him something. Either you left something that would displease Him, or you did something that will please Him. Leaving that which displeases Allah is already an act of worship. And engaging in that which pleases Allah is also an act of worship. So you either did this or that or both. If you've left something because it was displeasing to Allah, on the day of judgment you can say, oh Allah, I found it tough. It was very hard. I was laughed at. I was discouraged. I was this, I was that. But against all odds, because of your pleasure, because it was your instruction, I did this for your sake. Allah, what do you think Allah Almighty will say? Imagine you're standing there giving your own records and hey, I did this one thing. I'm going to talk about it. Allah already knows. He already knows it. But He wants to hear it from you, because you need to know what you did and what you didn't. So let's increase our good deeds, inshallah. Increase them. Your usage of social media should be such that when you watch what you've done on it, you should already be able to see in which direction you've been heading. Come on, do a bit of good in there. Encourage people to do something good at least, so that one day when you see that after your death, what would happen? When you see it after your death, you would be happy. You'd be proud of the fact that at least you did some good on there. It wasn't just bad. May Allah Almighty grant us strength and open our doors, and may Allah Almighty help us in every way. My brothers, my sisters, I know it's been a long day. I know it's warm, but I really thank Allah for giving us this opportunity in the midst of the virus to actually be able to finally meet and to be able to sit with one another and see each other face to face. It's really very different. I know online, yes, mashallah, there's good presence and so on, but it's different when you're in person. I would have loved to have shaken hands and given a hug to those who I'm able to, but unfortunately, we have a few restrictions and we're going to abide by them. I still have a lot of other functions to attend, and I pray that Allah make it easy for all of us. Those who are sick and ill, may Allah grant them cure. Those who've passed on from our families and the ummah, may Allah grant them Jannatul Firdaus, and may Allah protect all of us, not just from this disease, but from all diseases, from harm, from loss, from negativity. أقول قولي هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.